This is the daily RAMBAM, according to the Chabadovich method of learning. They have this quotas of learning they do every day, and part of it is to do the RAMBAM. Maimonides, he codified the Jewish law, he codified all the laws of the Bible into something called the Mishnah Torah. It's also known as Yad Chazakah, the strong hand. Is his work where he took all the mitzvos and he explained them and he made the practical laws of the Bible. And today the portion for the Rambam is in Hilchos Avel. Avel means the mourner, and it's in chapter 8. So here we are. Avel chayav likro me'esu shnei marabigdech benot ufromo v'nanamutu. האחר חייב לפרום ויקריאה מעומד שנאמר יגמנך ויקרא בגדיו. A mourner is obligated to rend his garments for the dead, as can be derived from Leviticus 10:6. Do not rend your garments lest you die. Implied is that others must rend their garments. One must rend one's garments only while standing, as it says in 2 Samuel 13:31. And the king stood and rent his garments. Where does one rend his garment? In front. If one rends his garment from the back, or from the sides, or from the bottom, he does not fulfill the obligation. Usually the kriya is like here. To rend his garments, with the exception of the high priest, who must rend his garment from the bottom. Interesting. Okay. I wonder if Caiaphas, the high priest, rent his garment from the bottom. I don't know. I wonder if it says. Let's check that out. All right. Kama shira korea akira. Tefach. What is the required measure for the tear? A handbreadth. It is not necessary to rip apart the border of the garment. One may rend his garments with a utensil. One may rend one's garments inside, not in the presence of others. Therefore, he may place his hand inside his garment and tear it modestly. He is only obligated to tear his upper garment. 3. Sorry about the noise in the hallway. Kol shivat yimei aveinu sakel lefnim. ואם בנחיב מחליף עם קורא קרע אחר, שכל קרע שנושסכים ומן הקרע. For the entire 7 days of mourning, he keeps the tear in front of him. If he desires to change his garments, he may. He is not required to rend the second garment. For any tear that is not made at the time of emotional excitement is not a tear. When does the above apply? With regard to other deceased persons aside from his father and mother. For his father and mother, by contrast, he must rend his garment until he reveals his heart. He must rip apart the border of the garment. He may not tear it with a utensil, and must tear it outside in the presence of people at large. He must tear all the garments he is wearing. His underwear, the garments worn next to his flesh, need not be ripped. If he changes his clothes, he is required to rend them for all 7 days. Similarly, for his father and mother, he uncovers his shoulder and takes his forearm out from his garment, revealing his shoulder, and his forearm he passes before the bier in this manner. After his father and his mother are buried, however, he is not required to uncover his shoulder. For it says a child's garments should be torn to create sorrow. When a dangerously ill person loses a close relative, we do not rend his garments, nor do we notify him, lest he lose control of his emotions. We silence the women in his presence. 5. A person should rend his garments when his father-in-law and mother-in-law dies, as an expression of honor for his wife. Similarly, a woman should rend her garments for her father-in-law and mother-in-law as an expression of honor for her husband. What is this noise going on here, man? So to check to see what was happening, removed some stuff in the hallway, big, huge, like refrigerators or whatever, making a lot of noise, but apologize for the noise. Okay. Mi she'eno chaluk. Did we do 5? A person should rend his garments when his father-in-law and mother-in-law dies as an expression of honor for his wife. Similarly, a woman should rend her garments for her father-in-law and mother-in-law as an expression of honor for her husband. Okay? Next. When a person does not have an outer garment to tear at the time of a person's passing, and he obtains a garment within the 7 days of mourning, he is obligated to tear it. After 7 days, he is not obligated to tear it. For his father and mother, he is obligated to tear it, even if he obtains it after the 7 days, but within the 30 days. Whenever a person goes out wearing a torn garment before the dead, implying that he tore the garment because of them, he is deceiving people and degrading the honor of the dead and the living. When one tells a colleague, "Lend me your cloak so that I can visit my father who is dangerously ill," if, when he visits him, he finds that he died, he should rend the garment, mend it, and return it, reimbursing the owner for the tear. If he does not notify him that he is going to visit a person who is dangerously ill, he should not touch the garment. 8. מי שלא חולה ביתו ויתעלף בסבו שבמקרה ואחר כך מתים מתוך כדי דיבור. אין עוזר וקורא ממנו רק כדי דיבור מת חוזר וקורא כרחב. וכן מי שאמר לו בית אביו וראה לו, אחר כך נמסך לו. אם נוגנו כדי ריבונו לו. עמידן נמיים לגריאם. אם רק כדי נימון לא יוצא לכם לקרוא כלכם. The following rules apply when one has a dangerously ill person in his home, and that person faints and he thinks that he has died, and hence he rends his garments. The sick person regains consciousness and then dies. If he dies immediately after the garments are torn, he need not rend his garments again. If he dies after even a short time has passed, he must rend his garments again. Similar concepts apply if someone tells a person that his father died, and he therefore rent his garments, and then it was discovered that his son died, or someone told him that a person close to him died. He thought that it was his father and rent his garments, and then he discovered that it was his son. If he realized the true situation immediately afterwards, he fulfilled the obligation to rend his garments. If he did not realize this until afterwards, he did not fulfill his obligation and is obligated to rend his garments again. I wish they'd be quiet. 9. מי שמש ולמש מר ובגך וקורא כאחד לכולם. היה בגלל ואימו קורא על כולן גרחה. When many close relatives die at once, a person should rend his garments once for all of them. If his father or mother are among them, he should rend his garments once for all the others and once for his father or mother. Okay, this is 10, and then you're done. I'll just read the whole Hebrew and then all the English. מי שמס לא מסקל וקרא לו, ואחר כך מס לא מסחל. שר שיבה קורא כאחר. אם לך שיבה מוסיבה לגרשן כלשהו. מס לא. מס לא שישי. מס שלישי, אחר שיבה שני מוסיף כלשהו. כן מוסיף והולך, תבורכו הגיע תדברו מריק 3 אצבעות וקורע. נרמלה בלבלה מחזיר לך, נרמלה בלבלה ובכל מלה. אמרו לו מת אביו וקורח, ואחר שיבה בבנו ויוסיף מתאחיה. התחתון ולא העליון, כמו שנתבהר. אמרו לו בנו וקורח שיבה בבנו. אינו מוסיף אלא קורע גרחה, שירו אביו עמו בתוספת. Which means, this is 10, this is Sif 10. The following rules apply when a person's close relative dies. He rends his garments because of him, and then another close relative dies. If the second relative dies within 7 days of mourning, he should tear his garments again. If it is after 7 days, he need only add a slightest amount to the original tear. If a third close relative dies after 7 days of mourning, for the second again, he need only add the slightest amount to the original tear. And he can continue in this manner until he reaches his navel. Once he reaches the navel, he should distance himself at least. Things are out of the building. Once he reaches his navel, he should distance himself at least 3 handbreadths and rend the garment again. When the garment is entirely torn in front, he may turn it around. When its upper portion is entirely torn, he may make the bottom of the top. If he was told, your father died, and he rent his garments after the 7 days of mourning, his son died, and he extended the tear, he may mend the lower tear. But now the hour tear, as will be explained. If he was told your son died, and he rent his garments, and after the 7 days of mourning his father died, he may not merely extend the tear, instead he must make a new tear, for extending a tear is not sufficient for his father and mother.